Do me a favor, bro. Hold this L.
Hold this L.
Hold this L.
Welcome to Hold This L with your host, Lonnie and Cappel. It is another great day to talk about football and basketball and baseball and soccer and whatever we decide to talk about on the show, because we talk about everything. How you doing, man? What's going on with you? What's your life like? How was your week? All that good stuff. What's going on, man?
Going pretty good, bro. Going pretty good. Cooked some gumbo yesterday. Had a nice little meal for the day. Kind of just chilled back, watched a little TV. Didn't do a whole lot. For most of the listeners that don't know, been very, very, very busy. Got me a new pug. And for anybody looking to get a pug, everything they tell you about them being stubborn and hard-headed, it is 100% correct. So if you don't have patience, don't get one. Yeah. But other than that, man, it's been great. It's been absolutely great. I love my dog. Everything's been going awesome. How about you?
And I'm good, man. I mean, I got this trip coming up. Me and the wife are going to LA for a 4-day, trip.
Nice.
The staycation next weekend. And other than that, just living the life, relaxing, chilling. Yeah. But before we get into this sports stuff, man, we got to talk about what if. I don't think people really know, because we never really talked about it, but like, we are huge, superhero fans, Marvel and DC. And we watch pretty much everything that come out. And me, on my background a little bit, I'm into the comics. I was reading the comics when I was a kid, and but I want to jump into this what if, man. Now, if you haven't watched it, you might want to fast forward through this, because if you watch it, you missed this episode. It's going to be a little bit of spoiler. This is a spoiler alert. Did you watch it? First of all, did you see the last episode? Just making sure, because I don't want to start talking and you haven't seen the last episode.
Bro, you and I both know you don't even have to ask.
Okay, I just make sure. Vision Ultron. The way that ended, that me and my one of my boys was talking about it. That should have been a movie. That storyline, that would have been an incredible movie. Ultron taking over Earth, like not Earth, the universe, destroying the universe,
right?
And being able to see the Watcher as powerful he is going toe to toe with the Watcher. And then, but what I really want to talk about is they're gonna leave us hanging like that. They're gonna leave us hanging like that at the end.
That was the worst. That was the absolute worst.
Like I need some closure. I need closure, man.
I'm hoping just they're gonna give it to us.
Yeah, was that Doctor Strange from the earlier series? The earlier show? That's what I thought.
That the Watcher trapped in that box, and he trapped himself
because everything is gone in his universe. That's all that's left in his universe is him in that little prism thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm like, you can't end it like that. I know they got one more episode, and I'm hoping that the last episode.
That's what led me to believe that they won't leave us on a cliffhanger like that.
Man, I hope not. But thing is like they got. I know the last episode is supposed to be like Gamora Thanos. Like she wields his weapon. She fights like him. So I'm wondering if they're gonna tie that last episode into this new one, or if they just gonna leave us hanging. Because they left us hanging with a couple of things.
Look, I got a theory. I got a theory for you. And as you started talking about this, it really just dawned on me. How's this for one? Gamora learns how to use Thanos' stuff and fights like him and goes back to kill what's the name for killing Thanos.
You're gonna need more than learn how to fight like him, because he got obliterated Thanos like that. Thanos wasn't even an option. Not even an option, But anyways, I just want to throw that out there, man. The episode was incredible. It was the best one for me. Like, hands down, the best one for me. But
it was absolutely amazing.
Anyways,
bro, I can honestly talk about that all day, but our show would
exactly, and I mean, while I'm pretty sure a lot of people are interested in what we're talking about, we probably have some people who's like, what the hell are y'all talking about? So let's move on. But speaking of superheroes, this team is playing like a superhero team, and that is the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, they are killing it, right? Like we talked about, wondering how Tampa Bay was going to hold up, how Tom Brady was going to hold up. against the Los Angeles Rams, because to me, the Rams was a team in the NFC that I need to see them play against to determine what I thought about Tom Brady. And I will say, Tom Brady didn't look bad. He played well, you know. But the Rams, this is about the Rams, bruh. They got it everywhere, firepower everywhere. Who in the hell expected Deshaun Jackson to come with that performance? I didn't. I knew he was on the team, but he looked like Deshaun Jackson still. I mean,
had him on my bench.
Are they the best team in the league
right now? Hands down. I mean, what can you argue it? I dare somebody to argue that they're not.
I mean, all they're going to say, anybody that tries to argue is going to base it off of past stuff. Or we seen Matthew Stafford play well before, he going to fold. Or we know the Chiefs just getting warmed up, they still the best team in the league. Like, that's the kind of stuff people can say. We know Tom Brady's still the best quarterback. We've seen this before. That's the kind of stuff they would say. But as far as what we've seen right now, nobody can give you anything to tell you to really solidify why the Rams are not the best team in the league right now. Like, it's not even, to me, it's not even an argument. It's like clear. They are the clear number one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm not to interrupt you, bro, but to be honest with you, even that comment you just made about Matthew Stafford, if you were to say something like that, you're a freaking idiot. Because let's just be clear, the only reason they even were competitive in Detroit for all them years is because of him. Let's not forget the Rams just went to the Super Bowl a couple of years with Jared Goff. Y'all do realize the upgrade from Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford.
You got some people
literally all they were missing.
Yeah, you got some people who don't believe it was an upgrade, and I think that's ridiculous. But it's clear that Matthew Stafford is a much better quarterback than Jared Goff.
If they don't watch football, because if you've been watching Jared Goff in Detroit, it's an upgrade.
Mm-hmm. They can beat you. They can beat you with the short pass game. They can beat you with the deep throws. They can beat you with the run game if they need to. They have a defense that can stop the run. They can cover. I mean, special teams, I guess, is average. You don't need a great special teams, have to grab great special teams. Like, where are the holes? They have a head coach who's an offensive genius, with his play calling and setup. Like, where are the holes? This is very rare where you find this. Like, even with Tampa, we talked about Tampa having this great defense, but the secondary was crap. They just were able to make it through, as far as to win a championship. But even in the past, you've had, teams when Seattle was killing it and they went to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. Their defense was like superb, but the offense was okay. Russell Wilson was not what he is now. They didn't have DK Metcalf. Like, this is rare where you have a team where you can look at it and say, where are the holes? You know what I'm saying? And maybe if you had to say there was one place to hit them, if you have a superb run game, that's probably what it is. We have yet to see a team with a good run game play them to see if like they could just push the ball on the ground and, impose their will, which we have that game coming up. Soon we have that game coming up against the 49ers. Good running team. So that'll be something to see.
I'm going to tell you what's crazy for me. On this Rams team, you have four possible MVP candidates. And not MVP candidates, but when I say, I mean, like, you literally have 2 legit players on offense that can win MVP. You have 2 legit players on defense that can win Defensive Player of the Year, or possibly, defensive player is not going to get an MVP. But to me, Defensive Player of the Year is the MVP of the defense. You literally have 4 players on that team that could arguably hold up that can have that mantle by the end of the year. And if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, we're going to get into one of them later. But of course, Matthew Stafford is obviously on a trajectory to look like he's going to be an MVP candidate. It's not even a doubt. Aaron Donald, we don't even talk about him. He's a freaking Defensive Player of the Year candidate every year. All you got to do is step on the field. And we all know Jalen Ramsey. The fourth person I'm gonna leave out because we got a little segment on him coming up soon. But most people, if you're football fans, you probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Rams are just hands down the best team in the league. But it's a lot of football left. We're gonna see like if they can continue this excellent play. But so last week we talked about Jalen Ramsey. We talked about the Rams having the two best defensive players at their position on their team, and Jalen Ramsey, best corner. I don't think that's up for debate. Aaron Donald, the best defensive player, period, in most people's eyes, like period, in any position, but definitely the best defensive lineman in the league. Is Cooper Kupp the best wide receiver in the league?
That's the person I was talking about. You name me a player, you name me a wide receiver in the NFL right now that looks better. Dude, I saw this game last week. He created his own route. He has his own route. I forget what the name of it is. I'm going to go look it up in a second. But, dude, that move was so cold. He ran like he was running an out route. You know how they run the stick out and go back in? Well, he ran the out. He ran the stick route, went back in, stuck again, then went back out again. That cornerback didn't know where the hell to go. And, of course, they scored a touchdown on it. So, I mean, if you go back and you watch that play, and because they even asked Sean McVay about it, and he was like, I forget, like I said, I'm going to tell you what they called him, but he was like, he created it himself. That was not in the game plan. Like, that's his route. He created his own freaking route. And to me, right now, Cooper Kupp is easily, in my opinion, outplaying every other wide receiver in the NFL. And I feel like he can be an MVP candidate at this point.
He's definitely an MVP candidate. He's definitely right there at the top. I can't necessarily put him above Devontae Adams just yet. As far as playing right now, because he's playing out of his mind right now, still doing the things that Devontae Adams does with being the person that's targeted by every team. And I think about when I look at things like that, I have to take that to account. Where Cooper Kupp is on a team where there's options everywhere. Robert Woods is superb. Then you got Van Jefferson who stepped up this year. He's a deep threat. He's young, but he clearly is a weapon. And then you got Darrell Henderson coming out of the backfield who can catch and run. And then you got, of course, Cooper Kupp. And then Deshaun Jackson. Like that's like weapons everywhere. Devontae Adams is it. I mean, they got Aaron Jones, but Devontae Adams is it. We know he's getting doubled. He getting screen passes. He's still taking it for 10 yards. He's getting targeted out of the ass. And when I look at that, I have to talk about the best wide receiver. I have to look at those like look at his situation and see how well he's still playing. And I can't quite say Cooper Kupp is above him. If you want to say 1A and 1B right now, I'm okay with that. But outside of Devontae Adams, you're absolutely right. There's not a wide receiver that I could throw in the mix and say, hey, they need to be in there too. We're not talking about talent. We're not talking about, like, we know DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs. We know those guys are like upper echelon quarterbacks. We're talking about wide receivers. We're talking about what wide receivers are doing right now for these first 4 weeks, first 3 weeks of the season. And to me, Devontae Adams is the only one that's there.
And to be honest with you, just to piggyback off that, I don't even think he's there yet, because if you go look at the stats, he's not there. Statistically, I mean, we've seen what Devontae Adams done the first 3 weeks, but statistically, touchdowns, yards, and everything, he ain't there yet.
The first week is the only week where he like just completely fell off, and it wasn't him. Like, if you look at statistics,
it was Aaron Rodgers. But
exactly, and we know that. That's why I said everything I said to preface Devontae Adams, because his play when Rodgers is playing well, like we've seen that after the second 2 games, Devontae Adams is that dude.
I can appreciate that. But when you're only that dude, you're gonna get all those targets. But when you're that dude and you got 4 other people on the team that could get those targets, but you're that good to where you're taking them away, like, the dude is never. Oh, and just to add, before I get into that, I want to let y'all know the play I was talking about, the route I was talking about, is called the Ocho.
Yeah.
And dude, like I say, you have, as you stated, you have Robert Woods, you have who is the Tyler Higbee. Even as the tight end is a good receiver coming out of the backfield with the emergence of, what's his name?
Van Jefferson.
Van Jefferson, and Deshaun Jackson, and he's still getting 7-8
But
targets, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
I don't look at it like that. I look at
No,
it like
I know
his
what
opportunity
I know what you said.
is better, is easier for him to get open and to be able to
But
compare to Deion.
I disagree.
Plus Devontae Adams lines up on the outside like almost all the time. We all know that we're lining up in the
Cooper Kupp
slot.
lines up everywhere.
He does, but Devontae Adams don't line up in the slot. He line up, so that means he's on the outside every time. He's getting the best coverage, double teamed every time. That makes things very difficult, and you're still getting targeted 12, 13 times, getting 8, 9 catches, still scoring touchdowns. I mean,
but I'm gonna tell you
Cooper
something.
Kupp has 3 touchdowns. He has 4 touchdowns, I think. 4 touchdowns.
4 or 5.
4 or 5 touchdowns. So
he hasn't a touchdown every game.
Cooper Kupp is above every wide receiver. I'm not saying statistically he's not the best. What I'm saying is performance-wise right now, I still got to put Devontae and Cooper Kupp right there.
I give you that. But don't sleep on them Green Bay wide receivers, because them 2 receivers are not as bad as they have been the last couple of years. And
Lazard, they ain't showed it these last 3 games.
Trust me, I can be the one to tell you. Lazard got about
MVS,
4 pass interferences called against my guys last week. He was doing something. He was targeting him. And also, what's the other guy name?
We can't put MVS.
not with Robert Wood.
But that's going to be another thing. MVS is out. He's on IR. He just went out on Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Well, that just happened recently.
It just happened. Yeah, I'm just saying it just happened. So
I will say
that more difficult.
Besides Robert Woods, ain't none of them other receivers on the Rams team that we're talking about any better than Allen Lazard, or I don't feel like Van Jefferson is that good. He's okay. He's a good receiver.
We can put them in the same category. We can put them in the same, but
I'll put them in the same category.
But only person Jackson I give you is still better than Allen Lazard and MVS.
I'll give you that, but I will also give that Deshaun Jackson barely even played the first 2 weeks. I don't even think he got targeted the first 2 weeks. He was barely on the field, and that was coaching. That was a coaching thing.
That's a coaching
because they had to work him in. But what I'm saying is, without Deshaun Jackson, without these guys, he was still doing it. He's done it.
You're right. He was still doing it. My point is because of the dynamic of that team, he's going to be able to get open looks more, which makes it doesn't take away from his talent. It's like if you took Devontae Adams or another wide receiver and put them where Cooper Kupp is, they would get it. They would still be dynamic. Like, you can't take anybody and put them in that position and they're going to do what Cooper Kupp is doing. Cooper Kupp is dynamic. But when you take a dynamic person, it's like when you took Kevin Durant and put them on Golden State. It didn't take away from Kevin Durant's greatness. It just made it so much easier for him to be great. Right, and that's what I'm talking about. It's like it makes it so much easier for him to be great because they have the dynamic they have on their team. And I'm not taking it away from him. What I'm doing is I'm adding to Devontae Adams.
Right, say and I respect that because I feel like Cooper, and the reason I'm giving him so much accolades is because he's been killing it. We know what Cooper Kupp is and what he has been. Now you gave him Matthew Stafford. It's like giving Devon, like if Devontae Adams had Jared Goff, he probably would look like Cooper Kupp the last couple of years. He'd be good. He'd be one of the better wide receivers. He wouldn't be what we're talking about. And that's why I say MVP candidate. He deserves all the accolades and all the acknowledgement that he's getting because, bro, dude, killing it, man.
He definitely is
killing it.
Yeah, and we got another wide receiver who back on the scene, and I feel like people were sleeping on this guy. They were sleeping on him, and deservedly so. I'm not going to act like we shouldn't have been, but Odell Beckham came back for his first game this year, and he did not look like Saquon looked when he came back from his ACL. Odell looked like Odell, and I don't know what is going to happen in in these next few weeks and how he's going to look, but just judging him off of how he was running routes, the speed, the stop and go, the cuts, he looks like he's 100% healthy. And this is the first game back where he has to get his feet under him, like he has to get his conditioning for game ready because he hadn't played the game yet. And he had I think 9 or 10 targets. I think he caught 6 catches for about 70-something yards. Could have easily had more if they throw the ball more, but it's the Browns. But what's your thoughts on Odell Beckham? Because I thought he looked superb.
That and some, but I'm gonna take it a step further and not say just how great Odell Beckham looked or everything. I'm gonna give kudos to the Browns for not rushing him back, letting him sit out those extra couple of weeks. Like you mentioned, game speed. Of course, you don't really get game speed until you're actually in the game and getting hit and all that. But he had 2 weeks of full speed, 7-on-7 practice, to try to get some of his conditioning back. So it wasn't a surprise to me to see him. Well, actually, it was a surprise to me to see him look that good. But it wasn't a surprise to me to see Odell Beckham come out and perform. He's Odell Beckham. I don't know what people forget. I mean, he got hurt last year, but he got hurt early. If a lot of people remember, he got hurt early. He tore that ACL earlier in the season. Saquon's came a little later. But keep in mind, Saquon started the year. They set him out an additional 2 weeks. That might not sound like a lot, but for somebody who plays sports or anybody who knows sports, coming off an injury and getting an extra 2 weeks of rest when you were probably ready to go in week 1, all that did was make it better. So kudos to the Browns, kudos to Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham looked like Odell Beckham. I mean, he looks like the person. I mean, I'm seeing one-handed catches. I'm seeing him running with the ball in one hand. He looked no different. He did not look like he's missed any time. On top of the fact that, keep in mind, y'all, he was probably getting double and triple covered because Jarvis Landry's not on the field. So that with all that being said, I think as the year goes on, we're going to be talking about Odell Beckham, and that, keep in mind, him missing 2 games with that also. He'll be a top 5, top 10 wide receiver, fantasy and just regular football when by the end of the year, in my opinion. I mean, hell, if you don't believe that, just go watch the game last week.
I'm definitely interested to see how he continues to play in the upcoming weeks. He got a couple of matchups. He got the Vikings. I can't remember who they played the week after, but that's definitely a juicy matchup. So we'll see how it continues. And then when Jarvis Landry comes back, this is going to make it even easier because now you have to focus on 2 quality receivers. Right now, you're just focusing on Odell Beckham. But yeah, so Odell looks really, really good. So we got this new segment that we got coming up. It's called Fire or Smoke. All right, so let's start off with the Cowboys. Fire is, like they for real, I'm buying it. They on fire. Or smoke is, it's a mirage. It looks good, but it ain't real. Or the Cowboys for real. Cowboys are 2-1. And they played some pretty good teams. Tampa. They pretty much they could have easily won that game.
Sure.
They beat the Chargers and they beat the Eagles, who we all up to that point thought was, and they may be still so. I think the Eagles are decent. They're not bad. We know they got a good defense. So they're 2-1. Are the Eagles? Is this fire or smoke?
I gotta go back to Lil Wayne. Fireman. Hey, bro, they fire. They fire. If one of the biggest things years past, the last couple of years, besides Dak's injury, we could all clearly say Dallas didn't have a problem on offense. Dak's the real deal. Dak can throw the ball. We hadn't seen him do it in big games or against winning teams, but I think a lot of that has to do with he's always coming from behind because his defense was that poor. I think they had arguably 2 of the worst defenses in NFL history the last couple of years. That is not the case this year. This kid, Trayvon Diggs, they number 1 pick Micah Parsons, and all the other guys that they got to go along with it. The Cowboys are for real. I think it's fire, man. And Dak Prescott looks amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. They done added this 2-headed monster with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, we've seen CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was that dude. That he was a steal at number 17 if y'all haven't been watching that dude. He is for real. Amari Cooper's playing out of his mind. They don't even have Michael Gallup right now. He was out after the first week. He's hurt, and they're still putting up 35, 40 points a game. They don't even have all their weapons. Blake Jarwin, a lot of people don't remember, but he tore his ACL the first week of the season last year. He's a good tight end. The Cowboys have it all. I think they got it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting there saying they got a top 10 defense, but they got a good enough defense. They're causing turnovers. They're leading the league in turnovers. I mean, when you got a team, I don't know if you remember, But I'm going way back here to 2009 when the Saints won the Super Bowl. A lot of people never said the Saints had a great defense. They had a defense that caused a lot of turnovers. They caused turnovers and they had a great offense. You pretty much kind of got the same formula, in my opinion, with the Cowboys. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them make a heck of a run in the playoffs this year when they get there, because I do believe they're going to get there because, let's be honest, they're going to win the East. I mean, to me, that's just a given. So yes, to me, for me, the Cowboys are fire all the way.
Yeah, it's a big smoke for me. It's a big smoke signal. Get out the TPs, like do the smoke signal, let everybody know it's danger in the in the reservation, because I gotta see more. This is not anything different we've seen from Dallas in years past, where they have all the weapons. They start off doing good. They look decent. They look great. And I said in the past, I ain't say last year, because I know last year we know the defense looked like trash. But in the past, we've seen this where we think they have it together and they don't. So I just have to see more. I will admit that the defense is definitely better. It's not just look better; they are better. Diggs and Michael Parsons definitely upgrades. But I will say that it's not like Tampa didn't put up huge numbers on them. It's not like the Chargers didn't put up numbers. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen both had great games as wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't until they played the Eagles where the defense looked solid. That was the only time the defense as a whole looked solid. So the defense for me truly is smoke. Like, I still think they got people gonna put up big numbers against them. The offense is I think the offense is legit. They are going to win in the East. They are going to make the playoffs. So when I say there's smoke, it's not that I think that they're going to have a losing record, but I don't think they're up there. I don't think they are for real when we're talking about contenders yet. So we will definitely see.
And that's why I made
Chargers.
that statement, though. I made that statement about that defense because they're not good. They just cause turnovers. They are not a very good defense to put that out there.
We'll see if that continues.
But I like the two teams that you named, so we can go on to the next segment that did put up points against them. It's two teams that's going to put up points against everybody. I don't care how good your defense is. Just to put that out there. The Chargers and the Buccaneers, I don't care who you are, they're going to put up points on you. A lot of Bucks just put up almost 30 on the Rams. So, I mean, when you're playing against those teams, they're going to put up points. I don't care who your defense is.
Well, the Chargers are the Chargers for real. And that's the next segment.
Whew.
So for me, the Chargers, that's as a fire or smoke. To me, it's still smoke. And the reason why it's still smoke is, they barely beat a Washington Redskins, a Washington football team that looks like trash right now. We thought Washington was going to be better than they are, and they look worse than they were last year. They lost to a Cowboys team barely, which was a good game. But again, I think that the smoke for the Cowboys, so I don't put a whole lot of stock into that. And yes, they beat the Chiefs. Great. They beat the Chiefs, but the Ravens also beat them for the first time this year as well. And both teams and the Chief, and you give Chargers credit for winning, but Patrick Mahomes played sloppy at the end. He clearly made the mistake that allowed them to come back and win that game. It wasn't like they made a great play to stop them. He being lackadaisical with the pass, doing the no-look stuff, wide open, just a really silly thing to do unless you do it and it works. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I give him credit for the win, but it's not like they had control of this game and you felt like the Chargers were going to win. It wasn't one of those games where you're like, oh man, the Chargers, they something else. Look at how they playing. No, they played okay, and then the Chiefs made a mistake. So again, for me, it's smoke right now. It's not like the 3 games they played, I can look and say this team got it. So the Chargers, I'm not sold on them being fire right now.
Me neither. But my reasoning for that is a little bit different, not a whole lot. I think the Chargers have a really good defense. They're starting to get healthy. Derwin James, Joey Bosa. I can't think of on the other defensive end. It'll come to me in a minute. But I think they're for real on defense. Justin Herbert, we know he the real deal. He's a superstar in the making. He's coming. Keenan Allen's great, and Mike Williams. Somebody please tell me where Mike Williams came from, because the last couple of years it was like, dude is a bust, or it's possibly a bust.
You know what it came from? What happened is he has a quarterback and he was able to have a training camp with him.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But you know what I mean, man. We looked at Mike Williams the last 3 or 4 years. It's like, we've been expecting this year. Like, I won't say everybody, but me and you in particular, we've been expecting this out of Mike Williams for like the last 2 or 3 years. You know, a lot of people don't know that we are real football connoisseurs. So when we talk about this stuff, like some of the things we talking about, we've been debating and talking about even before this show for years. We've been expecting Mike Williams to be that guy on the opposite side of Keenan Allen. It just hasn't happened, you know. And even last year with Justin Herbert, he sure showed flashes. Dude looked dominant this year. But the only thing that worries me about the Chargers, they can't run the ball. Yes, Austin Eckler is a great back, catching the ball out the backfield, you know, but he's too little. He's not a guy that's going to run the ball for you 20 times a game. Well, that's where the smoke comes in for me, because when you don't have a team that can run the ball, a 21-point lead means absolutely nothing in today's NFL. And anybody who's watching today's NFL, being up, just watching, you know, I got to throw it out there, but just being up, just last week on Sunday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers, a team that is considered a running team, were down 17-0 with like 2 minutes left and almost pulled that game out and ended up losing by 28-30. So a 20-point lead in this league is nothing. So if you can't run the ball, I don't care how much you can throw it around. If you can't run the ball, you can't do anything. And that's why there's smoke for me.
So we agree there. The Chiefs are 1-2. Who would have ever thought the Chiefs would ever have a losing record in the near future, like just in general with this squad that they have, unless somebody got hurt? Is this fire or smoke? You know, have they lost their mojo? Like, what's up with the Chiefs, man?
Man, I wish I had a candle or something right here that I could light and let the smoke come up from it.
Yeah.
Smoke, and more smoke, guys.
Yeah.
They're not running the ball that good. Don't get me wrong. They're feeling themselves. That's what's happened. It happens to every team. They've been to back-to-back Super Bowls. And don't get me wrong, it's not like they're getting blew out. It's not like they're coming out and people just beating the hell out of them. They having to make turnovers. They're making great plays. Lamar Jackson had to have the game of his life. You know, so many things are happening and they're losing, and they're still barely losing. They will turn it around. Let's not forget they still have Andy Reid. They still have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. They still have a lot of these guys. They haven't even been running the ball with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know if he hadn't been 100%. He looked a lot better last week, but they hadn't been doing that. You know, the Chiefs' defense isn't 100% healthy. You know, if you hadn't been paying attention, they're not 100%. So they were never that great, but always good enough to where they can get a turnover or two to where you can get to give Patrick Mahomes a couple more possessions. They're 1-2. I will be very, very, very surprised, and I'm calling it here right now, if we don't see them win like 4 or 5 in a row. By week 7 or week 8, I don't know if they got a bye week in there, but between week 7 and week 8, we'll be looking at the Chiefs and they'll be 5-2.
Yeah, this is all the smoke. You know what I'm saying? Nothing but smoke. You like we just like you said, we're gonna see within the upcoming weeks. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they put up a 50 spot on the Eagles today, which is what I'm hoping, to be honest, because that means that Jalen Hurts is gonna be throwing the ball all over the place, and I got him in fantasy. But you know, I think this is all smoke. The Chiefs, like you said, they barely lost those games, and they didn't play well. That's the thing. Like they beat the Browns, but they could easily be 0-3 simply because you can see it's like it's not the effort's not there. And it's what you said. You know, when championship teams have great success, they need extra motivation. And maybe starting off slow like this, hearing their names in the news, have they lost it? Does Patrick Mahomes, has he taken a step back? This is probably enough for them to get it together and be like, okay, let's play football now. So I very much believe that you're going to see a different Kansas City Chiefs team moving forward, and it's going to start with week 5 against the week 4 against the Eagles. The Steelers, man, we are used to the Steelers, hard-nosed defense, really good offense, good run game. We're used to that, and that's just not what we're seeing. They lost to the Bengals. They lost to who else did they lose to? I can't remember who they lost to last week, but they lost. They're 1-2, I think.
The Steelers are 1-2.
Yes, they're 1-2, and this is fire for me. The reason why this is fire for me is because Ben Roethlisberger is done. He's done. Can't throw the ball downfield. He just can't. And I think about when last year and a couple of years prior with Drew Brees. Drew Brees lost his ability to throw the ball downfield. What made the Saints a good team is that they had a great offensive minded coach. We had an offensive line. We could run the ball. Drew Brees could make short throws, but he had a dynamic running back in Kamara and a dynamic receiver in Michael Thomas. In Pittsburgh, Najee Harris, we can't consider him dynamic. He's a rookie. He's good, but we don't know what he can really be. Plus, the big thing is their offensive line is trash. It is not what it used to be in the past. They do not have a top-notch offensive line. And while they have 3 good receivers, they don't have 3 elite receivers. They just have 3 good receivers. But more than anything, if you're going to have a short passing game, you got to have an offensive line that can block. And they don't have that. And until something changes, as much as I love Mike Tomlin, as much as I know that defense is still strong and that they can, play well, I think that with the way that the Ravens are playing and the way that the Browns are playing and even the Bengals are playing, man, this is fire for me. I think this is a legit problem for the Steelers.
Well, I think it's smoke for 2 reasons. Well, it's more than 2 reasons, but I look at the 3 weeks they played. Week 1, they played the Bills. They dominated the Bills. Week 2,
defensively.
Let me
right. That's what you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. They played the Steelers in week 2. I mean the Raiders in week 2. Anybody who's watched the Raiders, if y'all don't know, they for real. Week 3 would be the only one that I would kind of second guess just because of the way they got beat against the Bengals. Because let me be honest with y'all, the Bengals are for real too on offense. That Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase connection is for real. But this is something I will add about the Steelers. They haven't had TJ Watt the last 2 weeks. They haven't had their full slate of defense. That's what they hang their hats on. They need their defense to play. We all know what Ben Roethlisberger is. He's done. He is absolutely done. But he's serviceable. That offensive line is absolutely terrible, but their defense has been hurt. And I don't think they had Deontay Johnson last week either, which is another weapon of Ben Roethlisberger's, probably the best weapon that he has. I know Juju is nice, but Deontay Johnson is that speedster. He's the guy who stretches the field. But not having TJ Watt, we're talking about arguably the defensive player of the year. I think, was he last year?
I remember.
Or was he runner-up? It was one of the two. He should, if he didn't win it last year, he should have. Well, he hasn't been healthy. The secondary is not healthy. So with that being said, that's why I'm giving it smoke right now, because I can't evaluate the Steelers right now at 100% because the 1 week of the year where they were 100% healthy, they dominated the Bills. So until I see a little bit more, when they get back healthy and I see TJ Watt come back, if they still look like that, I will be on that bandwagon. But for me right now, it's smoke because they're dealing with injuries on defense, which is the strong suit of their team.
So that's all the more reason for it to be fire is because they are dealing with injuries on defense.
But those injuries are coming back. They're coming back.
But this is their schedule. They have the Packers this week, on week 4. Then they have the Broncos, who have pretty much, probably just as good a defense. Then they have the Seahawks. Then they have the Browns. And the Bears.
That will show us a lot.
The Lions, that's the game where they can relax a little bit. And then they got the Chargers. And then they got the Bengals. And then they got the Ravens. Then they got the Vikings, which they can relax a little bit. When I say relax a little bit, I'm talking about on offense because they don't have the same pressures. Like all those other teams have good defenses. Then they got the Chiefs.
The Lions got a good defense.
The Lions,
Their defense is the reason they've been in these games.
If Marcus Brown catch those 2 passes last week, they lose by over 20 points. Their defense is not good. It's not as bad as we thought, but it's not good. And Marcus Brown, you have him. You know, those were straight up Marcus Brown dropping touchdowns. Those
Marcus
weren't just
Brown.
Marquise
Brown.
Marquise Brown. You're right. Like he literally dropped 2 touchdowns in his hands like this. Like separation from the. I mean, he catch them.
You don't have to talk. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you don't have to talk about
so
them. I got you.
Again, Lions not trash, but they are not good. And so, like every team that they play, except for the Titans, the Lions, and the Seahawks, and then you throw the Chiefs in there too. Every other team has a really good defense. That's the reason why it's fire for me. But you're right. I mean, the defense, and I will say this last part before we move on. I don't believe they dominated the Browns. I believe that the defense was able to stop the Browns. I mean, not the Browns,
Bills. I knew what you meant. I got you.
I believe that their defense stepped up and do what their defense does. Didn't allow them to score in the red zone because the Bills moved the ball down the field. They were in the red zone several times, and
but they only had 10 points.
Field goal. They had 16 points.
Did they?
Yeah, they had 16 points, but they settled for field goals in many of those because of the defense. So they got 1 touchdown and 3 field goals. So to me, that's not domination, but the defense does what they do is they bend, but they didn't break, which would allow them to win the game against the Bills.
That's to me the best friend of a weak offense is a strong defense because they're going to allow you to get a couple more possessions that you probably wouldn't get on stops and field. And like you say, that's the perfect example. You know, the last 2 weeks, them 3 field goals you were talking about, they ended up being touchdowns.
Yeah.
So not only are you keeping your defense is on the field longer, they're scoring more, your offense is getting less opportunities. So I mean, I think and let's not forget the other reason, and I'm gonna give him credit until I see different. Mike Tomlin has never coached a losing season. Ever.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna have a losing season. I don't think they're gonna have a losing season. I think they can finish 8-8, 9-7.
For me, looking at that team,
it actually won't be 8-8 because we have an extra game, so it can't be 8.
They would have to be
9-8,
but
9-8, 10-8.
If they can go 9-8 this year with that defense, the way Ben Roethlisberger looked, that's why I'm saying I don't think it's fire yet. I think the Steelers can still compete.
When have they not made the playoffs?
That year they went 8-8, I think. They didn't have a losing record, but they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, and that was without being. So scratch that whole season. When have they not made the playoffs when they had their quarterback and the majority of their players on offense?
No, they usually they make, but they're playing like you said. Look at that.
So if they win 9 games, but if they win 9 games and lose 8, that's fire. That's not the Steelers. That's not Steelers.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. If they're not a 10-16 or 10-17, then I'm with you 100%. But for right now, for me, it's still smoke because I got to see a little bit more. They've been hurt the last couple of weeks.
I got you. All right, well, let's move on to our fantasy picks for week 5. Week 5, we got some good matchups. We're going to talk about our top 2 at each position. First position is quarterback. For me, I like Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins he's going to have a great matchup. I think they're going against the Texans, if I'm not mistaken. Let me
in week 5.
No, Lions.
The Lions.
Yes. Kirk Cousins has been silently killing it.
He has.
And that's been against teams that are better than the Lions, especially even on defense too. Not necessarily all of them, but Seahawks, they're not great, but get my point. So I definitely like Kirk Cousins, and then I love Josh Allen against the
Chiefs.
The Chiefs, yes, that's a Monday night game. Josh Allen, he's gonna show out. I mean, they may not win, but Josh Allen gonna ball. ball out. And if you have him fantasy wise, you definitely play him. You play in DFS, he's definitely somebody to look at. Who you got?
All right. Well, my two quarterbacks this week, I'm gonna tell you this one's kind of a no-brainer. Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott. He is gonna light the Giants up. I'll just watch and see. He's gonna light them up. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be really, really, really bad. My other quarterback for this week is a quarterback for this week is actually, and this y'all gonna think I'm crazy. Telling y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but this is more of a DFS pick. If you're looking for value, he will have a good week. And when I say this, y'all mark my words: 250 yards, 2+ touchdowns. Zach Wilson.
That's how you gonna say it. I
That's
feel like
my
you gotta
picks.
say more than that. I mean, I know they're going against the Falcons, so hey, it's very, very, very. It's very.
That's my
possible.
reason. That's my reason.
Who you got for your running backs?
Okay, my running backs for this week. I'm gonna tell y'all, I like Trey Sermon. Like Trey Sermon against the Cardinals. I think we didn't run the ball very well last week as a 49ers team. I think we got something to prove. I think we're going to get back to running the ball a lot more this week. And we also need to keep the ball out of Kyler Murray's hands. So I see this being a big, heavy Trey Sermon day. And the reason I also say that, guys, just in case y'all don't know, he's not splitting carries with anybody. Every other running back is hurt for the 49ers, basically. So Trey Sermon is basically who they have. So with that being said, that's somebody that I think is going to have a very, very, very big week. I'm going to tell you the other person that I like more than anybody, Joe Mixon. If y'all have not been watching Joe Mixon is playing well. He's not like running for a whole bunch of yards and everything like that, but he's playing very, very good running back. And they're playing the Packers this week, which is one of those teams that you want to try to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. Joe Mixon is a guy I would look at this week as a good fantasy play.
Yeah, for me, it's Saquon Barkley against the Cowboys. I think this is going to be he's going to be even healthier. You know, he's already getting plenty of touches as evidenced in last week's game in week 3. And, you know, with the high-powered offense the Cowboys have, your game plan needs to be keep them off the field. And they have the perfect running back to do that, who can catch the ball out of the backfield as well as run. And we know that the Dallas Cowboys don't have a great run defense. It's not as bad as it was last year, but it definitely is not great. And then Dalvin Cook. I love Dalvin Cook for this week. That week they're playing the Lions. I mean, that's gonna be a staple for me. Teams playing the Jaguars, the Lions, and the Texans. A lot of times you're gonna see me choose those teams because so far they've shown that you can do well against them.
Is he healthy?
Really, really well. That week he may be. That week. This is week 5. So
right.
Week. Yeah. So if he's not, then I go to Madison. Like either one, because whoever is the one,
whoever's the Vikings
that's
running
who the
back.
pick is. That's who the pick is.
Gotcha.
So for wide receivers, I love Corey Davis, and that's why when you said Zach Wilson, I wasn't gonna say nothing about it because I love Corey Davis against the Falcons, and of course Corey Davis has a good game. Chances are Zach Wilson has a good game as well. And I also like AJ Brown. Listen, AJ Brown, the Titans, they're going against the Jaguars that week, and AJ Brown may not play. He's out week 4, but if he plays week 5, as bad as he's played, this is the time for him to show up. If you have him in fantasy and he doesn't play well against the Jaguars, you need to try to look to trade him. Try to find somebody that'll take that, who thinks that he may get it back, and try to get something from them that can help you win. Because chances are, if you got AJ Brown and he don't do good in that game, you're not doing good fantasy wise. You're already losing, so you need somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If AJ Brown don't get it done that week, you need to start panicking with AJ Brown. Who you got?
Well, Corey Davis was one of mine, so obviously. But I'm gonna give an additional 2 since you already named that, just to give a little plethora. One of the people that I think is going to be a good pick that week is going to be Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper is going to be a strong, and you can go 1A, 1B with Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. I think both of them are going to have great games against the Giants. But my other pick that I'm looking at that I think is going to have a really, really good game that week. It kind of threw me off a little bit because I started searching for my for my other pick. But let's see here. Let me go back and see who it was that I was looking at. Oh, yeah. I feel like Mike Williams. I think Mike Williams is somebody that against the Browns. Going against them, Keenan Allen is going to be lined up with their number one corner. I think Mike Williams, which he's been killing it against number two corners all year, but I see him having a good game, a big game against the Browns.
And who you got for your tight ends?
Man, tight end for me that week is going to be George Kittle. I like George Kittle against the Cardinals. The Cardinals are not very good against the tight end. But another thing is, if y'all know who the safety is for the Cardinals, is Budda Baker. Budda Baker takes a lot of chances. He's very aggressive. He's that safety that, I mean, he will knock your socks off, but he's also that safety that'll give up a 60-yard touchdown on you too. But again, you can put up numbers on him. So with that being said, I'm a big George Kittle fan that week going against the Cardinals in a division game.
And you got one more? Top two tight ends.
Oh, you want me to give two? I know we only usually play one tight end. My bad, y'all. My bad. I'm slipping on that one. Well, if y'all gonna go with another tight end in that one, I'm gonna tell you, he had a bad week this last week. I think he'll redeem himself, and I think he'll even have an even better week in week 5. It's gonna be TJ Hockenson going against those Vikings. The Vikings defense.
Yeah, same with me. TJ Hockenson definitely is going to be a top play at the tight end position against this newly revamped Vikings defense that everybody was talking about was going to be so good. Laugh in the face of that. That's ridiculous. They're playing terrible. They're not good at all. And then Kyle Pitts. This is a game where Kyle Pitts has to get it. Like, everybody's been very high on him. He's lined up in the in a wide receiver position in the slot, or lined up wide. Pretty much like more every week he's lined up in one of those positions more and more and more. He is not a tight end. He is not a tight end. He is basically like Jimmy Graham was when he was with New Orleans. He hardly ever lines up in the actual on the line as a tight end. So with that being said, with Gage being out and, having Calvin Ridley as the number one option, Kyle Pitts is clearly the number 2 option. If he can't get it done against the Jets, then is this the guy that is he who we thought? I mean, is he what we thought he was? Or was all that just smoke? I mean, I know he's a rookie. I know he has plenty of time. I'm not saying he's not going to be a good player, but I'm just saying, like, this year, people were expecting him to be that guy. They put him up there in the top echelon of tight ends, right under the Kelce's, and like he literally was right under the Kelce's and Kittles. Like, they put him right there with Hockenson and well, not Waller, but the Kelce, Kittle, and Waller. Right under that 3, he was right there with Hockenson. And he has not shown that. So does he need time to develop? We don't know. This is a game where, like, you expect him to kill it. So yeah, those are my 2 top tight ends for week 5, TJ Hockenson and Kyle Pitts. Man, who you got holding the L this week?
My L is definitely I gotta show y'all a picture on my phone. I mean, I've seen some pretty bad looks, and I want to see if the fans, if y'all can see this. Do y'all see that?
Nope. Nope. You gotta tilt it.
Is that better? That a little bit better?
Nope. You can see the face, but you can't read what it say.
I don't need you to read what it say. I just need you to see the
his face. Yeah, he's like he's crying.
He looks like where a parent is coming at you with their belt, about to whoop you because you did something wrong. Bro, you gonna get hit. And Mac, you got to hold the L for that look, man. Bro, you look like you probably shouldn't be there. That's one of them looks where you like, you show your NFL player, man. You kind of look like you look real scary right there. One thing I will say about NFL players, you tough as nails, and we always get them looks, them memes and stuff. But he real life looked like he felt like he about to die when he get hit, whoever that is. And I don't even look like the dude who's gonna hit him. It looked like he threw the ball and he was just scared and he just It was one of them. But no, Mac Jones, you got to hold the L for that meme, man. That's gonna be a meme for a long time, bro. You rightly deserve it. And Michael Rappaport. Oh, you thought I forgot, didn't you? No, I didn't forget. I just wanted to put that out there.
I forgot. So I wouldn't even remember.
He will never. He's infamous.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's Nick Sirianni. When I look back at this Dallas Cowboys Eagles game, from face value, it's like, the Eagles, they played so well. Cowboys played so well. They clearly dominated. But when you really look at the dynamic of the game, you have a quarterback in Jalen Hurts who threw the ball for 39 times, and he has 326 yards. And you say to yourself, what has Jalen Hurts done to make you think that he should be throwing the ball 39 times? Clearly, when he's been successful, is because he's had more of a balanced attack. But then when you have your running back, Miles Sanders, run 2 times and for 27 yards, he averaged 10 yards a carry. And then you have your change of pace back run 1 time. That's 3 rushes. 3 rushes. It has been 20 years since a team has run their running backs 3 times or less.
Wow. I did not know that.
That is ridiculous. Nick Sirianni, your play calling, what you're doing is why you're not successful right now. You have a good team, but you're right. As a coach, you're not doing what's necessary for that team to be successful. There is no way in hell that you should be running the ball 3 times. That's it. And I watched that game. This was not a game script type of thing. He was clearly passing the ball when you should have been running the ball. And this is early in the game. This is not like the Dallas Cowboys scored 28 points in the first quarter and they had to throw to try to catch up.
All right.
Like this is just bad play calling. So Sirianni, you got to hold this L. And Miles Sanders, he I don't understand why he doesn't see the value in Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders, when he runs the ball, he gets yards. I guarantee you, if he gave him 20 rushes a game, this boy would average 90 to 100 yards a game.
Easily. He's a monster. If you watched him play, the boy got skills.
It doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. And maybe he's listening. Maybe he's hearing, because this is, if you're paying attention and if you're watching sports shows, if these are things that people are saying. They don't understand why Miles Sanders is not being used as much as he's being used. Kenneth Gainwell, I get it. They see a lot in him, but I haven't seen enough.
They ain't using him either.
They ain't using him, but I haven't seen enough for me to think, for me to say, oh, I understand why he's being used as much as he's being used. Like, I don't get that part.
I know people like to have a 2-headed back nowadays, and I can understand that, but it's stupid. Bro, I apologize. Mac Jones, I got to give another L. You made me think about the L that I should have gave in the beginning. Matt Nagy. For throwing Justin Fields out there, not running one single bootleg, no read options. You put a first-time rookie quarterback in, threw the ball, I don't know how many times, when you clearly have a very good running back in David Montgomery, but you didn't even run this dude on bootlegs or nothing. You let him sit in the pocket and just throw. And Matt Nagy get the L 100%, and I have an apology to issue. You may not agree with me on this. Mitch Trubisky, I'm sorry. I don't know if it was you or not at this time. It could have very well still been you, but after what I saw Matt Nagy do to Justin Fields, I have no idea if it was your fault. I don't know if you're as bad as we thought you were because of how bad Justin Fields, the man threw for 1 yard. Between his sacks, which he got sacked 9 times, his sacks and he had 67 passing yards, and he had a negative 66 yards on sacks. Mitch, I'm sorry. Matt Nagy, hold his L. You're freaking terrible. If you put that boy out there again, please actually run some plays that he can actually be successful on. Yeah. That's it. That's all. That was a vent. That needed to come out.
That was a much more deserved L.
Yes, it was. It was. And he was supposed to get it. He should have got it from the jump.
And I agree 100%. He did Justin Fields wrong. But I think Justin Fields is about to bounce back. I ain't gonna lie.
I
think
do
he have a
too.
good game against the Lions. But anyways, that's all we got for y'all today. Appreciate it. Thanks for logging in and listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, share with your families. We appreciate the love. That's all we got for today. Hope you have a great week. This is Hold This L, and I am Cappel.
And I'm Lonnie.
And we out.
Peace.